IT consulting, and blockchain solutions. He is among the top 30 influencers of blockchain in India and founding member of India Blockchain Forum. He is Hyperledger India co-chair and a member of the Hyperledger Technical Steering Committee. He drives the technical directions of Hyperledger Foundation. He is also a co-chair of the IEEE Blockchain Initiative at the IEEE global level and mentor to blockchain startups incubated by Apiary of Ministry of IT India Initiative, and an advisor to Web3 tokenization and CBDC startups globally. He completed computer science engineering in 2009 from SGS Status, Indore, one of the premier engineering institutes in central India. He started software engineering career with emphasis in HP company and worked as Capgemini, IBM for global customers. He started blockchain journey with IBM in 2016 and up in the ladder to become CTO of Snapper Future Tech. In previous experience working at IBM as a blockchain consultant, he was associated with various blockchain initiatives, mentoring blockchain startups in the IBM Startup Accelerator Program and a service member of the IBM Academy of Technology. He led various blockchain communities like Hyperledger India, Hyperledger TSC, IEEE Blockchain, India Blockchain Forum, etc. His first TEDx talk in 2022 and spoke in many global conferences from technology, fintech, climate tech, and academia. With a passion for advancing blockchain technology, he plays an active role across the Hyperledger community, contributing to the climatic action and accounting SIG surveys as a vice chair. He is an advisor to Web3, tokenization, and CBDC startups globally. So we are very fortunate to have you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would request him to start with the session.
Yeah, I think thank you for invitation, and it's great to be here. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? My screen is visible, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
So I presume like you must be knowing the blockchain fundamentals maybe in yesterday's session and maybe your basic understanding about blockchain. So I will just give brief as per my understanding what is blockchain and how it evolved, and then my topic is to cover Hyperledger ecosystem and the Hyperledger fabric, which is mostly used across the businesses, enterprises, and government in the world, and that's why the job opportunities and career opportunities and in Hyperledger fabric is more compared to the other chains. So about a blockchain, like it is just given a concept using a Bitcoin paper in 2008 to create a digital peer-to-peer currency, which is decentralized, which is automated, and which have no one control. That was the initial thought about the blockchain as a white paper. Bitcoin is emerged, but seeing the availability, applicability, and the use cases, the large number of such cryptocurrencies being started in 2010 to a couple of years till 14, 15. So and that was like Ethereum, like Ripple, and there are many such cryptocurrencies being started. And now they moved beyond the cryptocurrencies. So how they can use the technology, how they can use the basic principle of the. So if I just let me talk about what is the basic principle of the blockchain, then we can talk about Hyperledger specific things. So if we see just 1 minute this slide, then I will go to back slide. So if we see the basic understanding of blockchain is simply recording the data in a ledger, which is time stamped, immutable using the cryptography, and distributed and managed by the number of cluster of computer. This is a basic definition. The chaining of the data in the form of block, which is time stamped and distributed and decentralized, which means there is no central governance. And it offers the security in the system because having a immutability nature of the data, nobody can tamper, nobody can this thing. And also the data is decentralized and distributed, so security hack is near impossible. Single like is a single source of truth. So whatever the node in the having the exact the same copy of the ledger, and they have a uh, available across the nodes. And the transparency and trust, because the uh, blockchain is distributed, decentralized, immutable, so it will bring the trust and transparency in the aspect of the data and the processes, and that bring the kind of removing third party from the ecosystems. So if we compare this particular blockchain offer the connected ecosystem, it which bring the efficiency. It is a shared data. That means the data is shared across all the participants. So it's bringing the transparency about the data. A smart contract. So it's the automation of the particular things where you uh, maybe automate the particular business processes in terms of which is executed in a immutable manner as well. And consensus, which is bringing the trust, because whatever the data is being updated and processed, it should be approved by everyone. That is a consensus. And this is immutability using the security of the cryptography, and the data is distributed. So there's a thing. So technically, why blockchain technology? The answer is trust, because using distributed, secure, immutable, anonymous, decentralized, that all characteristics bring the trust, traceability, and tamper proof in an ecosystem. And what it offers to the businesses, so is offers in terms of the business opportunities, reduce settlement time, improve liquidity, open brand new markets, operational efficiency where lower intermediary costs, increase automation of the business logic and workflows, reduce the need for reconciliation, simple regulatory reporting and immutable audit trail that will help with the auditing perspective, more transparent and systematic risk, faster risk management, and also the data resilience and cybersecurity perspective. So this is the some benefit of the blockchain. Now, uh, and that is all started from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other things. Now, what is the Hyperledger, which is the most talked about in the industry and governments who are using this one? So Hyperledger is Hyperledger is first. What is Hyperledger? So uh, Linux Foundation. So just give brief history. So in 2015, when this Ethereum and the cryptocurrency market was growing and seeing the blockchain's basic building blocks, it is really helpful for the businesses. They can use the blockchain in a private and permission manner. So being that consideration, a couple of companies which are working in silos like IBM, Intel, Accenture, and a couple of startups, they they contributed their source code and given to the Linux Foundation, and Linux Foundation is created the uh, Hyperledger Foundation. So, so simply, the Hyperledger Foundation is the open source global ecosystem for enterprise grade blockchain technologies. So, in a Hyperledger, Fabric is one, Indy is one, Besu is one, and there are many such projects out there. So, it is simply open source code for the enterprise grade blockchain settlement, blockchain implementation development, and throughout the world is managed by the Linux Foundation. So that is a Hyperledger thing. But recently, Hyperledger rebranded themselves as a Linux Foundation decentralized trust, because blockchain is just not only the technology which is bringing the trust in the ecosystem. There are many more other technology like cryptography, for example. So bringing all other technologies together, the credit is the Linux Foundation decentralized trust. So it's a part of Linux Foundation. So if you know the Linux Foundation is home for all the open source technologies, whether JavaScript, whether CentOS, or whether Linux, Ubuntu, all is part of the Linux Foundation community. So there are 1,000+ such projects in the cloud computing, AI, and other stuff. So Linux Foundation is a global organization which is committed to free of exchange data code and innovation. There are more than 2,500 members from 45 countries. There are 100% all the Fortune tech and telecom companies as part of this one. There are 800 key developers who are contributing code to the Linux Foundation's code, different projects, and there are around 980+ critical open source projects, and it is creating large value to the ecosystem. So that is Linux Foundation, and Hyperledger is one of the initiative of Linux Foundation for bringing blockchain technology to the enterprises or enterprise grade level technology of blockchain. And why Hyperledger is important in the ecosystem? Because Hyperledger is completely open source. That means there is no any license and users fee. Anybody who want to use, they can simply go in Hyperledger and download the code and download source code and even contribute to the code bases as well. This is completely open source. Open source means like nobody have control on it and nobody on it, and there is no licensing fee at all. It's completely free. Is a open development, so not just the code is open source, but is the development of the source code, development of the community is also completely open in an open environment. That means like everyone is everyone who want to contribute, they can uh, they can contribute, they can part of the even decision matrix and whatever they want to do the to the community. Is completely open, and also the governance is also open. It's not like is managed or run by one company or two companies. See, there are 200 1,500 total companies out there. So depending, even the IBM is a equal opportunity, and there's a startups as well. So it's completely open source, open development, open governance, and the motive and vision to create the uh, future of decentralized technologies, where anybody can use these technologies and build on top of it. So if you see here, like all these companies logos, you can see all are using blockchain or building on blockchain or part of the Hyperledger Foundation. They are even not just using it; they are already part of the Hyperledger Foundation, whether contributing code or contributing to the grow the ecosystem. So you can see like Accenture, DTCC, Fujitsu, IBM, Wipro, Walmart, Infosys, all companies are out available here. Infosys, you can see here, uh, and even TCS recently became a member as well. So there are Oracle, Entity Data, all this Tech Mahindra, all these companies are part of Hyperledger Foundation. So that means these companies are using Hyperledger technologies or contributing to the Hyperledger technologies. So this is a bit old slide, but it's more than around 8 years, and there are couple of. So I was just give an example like the Hyperledger is just not one blockchain like Ethereum or Bitcoin. It is a collection of different technologies, tools, and libraries, which is helpful for building a blockchain-based blockchain applications. Okay, and there are many even new projects as well, and there are 50+ Hyperledger labs. There are some special interest group is being created, which is the groups for industry specific. Let's say there is a group for healthcare, there is a group for identity management, there is a group for financial, there is a group for supply chain, trade finance. So all different groups are there. Even there is a group for climate action as well. So how the blockchain Hyperledger can be used in hyper climate related technologies. And similarly, there are some regional chapters being set up. That chapters are actually uh, building the community and helping the ecosystem grow in a specific country. So, for example, Hyperledger India I chair it. I lead the Hyperledger India actually, and there are 180 plus meetups worldwide in 84 countries. So similarly, there are different webinar meetups keep happening globally in 180 plus meetup groups, which is present in 84 countries, and there are uh, around 96,000 meetup participants. And they have released some newsletter, which is a 460K newsletter subscriber to those. So this is the Hyperledger is an ecosystem. And now and and now Hyperledger is used across all kind of industries. So whenever you see the enterprise, businesses, governments, or use of private blockchain or permission blockchain where you don't want to use crypto, then people are implementing the Hyperledger based technologies, whether Besu, whether Fabric, whether Indy. So it is used across all the different domains. So it's in finance and CBDC. CBDC is central bank digital currency. Even in India is already having a central bank digital currency. Uh, Central bank digital currency by the Bank of India, that is on based on Hyperledger Fabric. There's a healthcare use cases. There are telecom use cases. So Telecom Authority of India is using Hyperledger Fabric for for identifying the spam messages kind of thing. There is supply chain where the use cases like traceability of the food, traceability of the luxury items, traceability of uh, it could be anything. Even there are a couple of projects I am involved where we are doing a traceability of even food or ghee kind of thing. There are use cases in media and entertainment about like IP rights or something else. And there is a public sector use cases like government use cases. Even let's say Telangana government, Tamil Nadu government, or even Maharashtra land records on blockchain, and climate related use cases where this carbon credit tokenization and all other thing is on blockchain. Education related clearance to Central Bank of CBSC already started issuing the your 10 and 12 certificates on blockchain that is powered by Hyperledger and identity. So if you use the DigiYatra kind of system, so DigiYatra is one of the Hyperledger based identity system. Energy where the peer-to-peer energy trading. So in UP government already has some kind of um, P2P energy trading blockchain solution out there. And there are many use cases in all the segments. So this is couple of, and it is a enterprise use cases across the use cases across the industry. So if you see this because this is very important thing, like Hyperledger is just not only the Hyperledger Fabric. Hyper Fabric is one of the project in Hyper ecosystem, but there are Hyper Aries, there is Besu, there is a Indy, there is a Irva, there is a Satooth, and there are a couple of different even incubating projects as well, like Crats, this Babel for deploying this Fabric and Besu code bases. There are Cacti for the interoperability. There is a Caliper for benchmarking. So there are many such projects out there. So we're going to understand all this thing, and then in deep dive session we're going to pick the Fabric and going to deep dive how the Fabric works and how the architecture works. And between, if you have any question, you can keep asking here, so I will address it. Yeah, yeah, Amru. I think anybody have heard, because we have 2 hours, so we can cover interact very well. Yeah, yes, yes, sir. Ask the question. Hello. No, I think your voice is not properly audible. Can you louder or maybe type in the message box?
Speech.
Are you asking question or shall I continue? Okay, so let me continue and maybe if I get a question, yeah, you can ask the question in the chat. I will address. Okay. So these are the couple of projects. So and that's why in the hyper ecosystem there's a lot, and as per the requirement or as per the business use case, you can select the, the blockchain project out of this set of projects. So if you see this history from last almost 9 years, it started in December 2015, and on that time there are uh, four projects being contributed by different companies like IBM, like Intel, uh, and DTCC, and given to the Hyperledger or given to the Linux Foundation and formed the Hyperledger Foundation. Then uh, is evolved and there are new projects being added in 2016. Indie, Cello, Burrow. Burrow is a project where you want Fabric and EVM, Ethereum blockchain can talk to each other, so that kind of thing. Uh, and later the new project like Caliper, which is benchmarking tool for the for the systems. And the Ursa is another project being added where which is the kind of having a suite of crypto libraries, which which is plug and play of the crypto systems in the blockchain. And there are other projects like Transact, Besu, Aries, which is a different set of blockchain for the different things. So even Aries is being used mainly in India for building a self-sovereign identity and digital identity kind of solution based on Hyperledger. Transact, they try to do something on the interoperability of the of the uh, different set of blockchain. So, like for example, if you're building a code on Besu, and if you want to uh, if you want to write to migrate to the Ethereum, so that is currently is you need to rewrite the architecture and need to rewrite the even code bases. But Transit it was planning to do to combine or maybe some kind of unique layer. So and many other things. So then this characters is being introduced for interoperability between the different set of blockchains like Fabric or Indy or Fabric on Besu and Fabric or Archicoda. And there are some innovation keep happening throughout the Canon credit is being added recently. So this is the kind of thing is history of Hyperledger. So Fabric, which is most popular platform and preferred solution for the companies or the businesses. Even more than around 40% of the companies are using hyper related technologies, Hyperledger Fabric actually. And it is very active because it has around 11 releases in itself in 2022. Um, it's lots of new tools, operations, and open source code available. It has pluggable consensus, so we will go through the Fabric details. What is the consensus in Fabric, and what are the different kind of um component out there. It it also a connection to the EVM, like you can run the EVM code on Fabric, and all this uh, CBDC thing is already CBDC projects or people who are building on the this thing. And the LTS is latest thing. latest long-term support version of the fabric. So this is about the fabric. And fabric is the some top two use cases. One is circular, where it is used in the electronic vehicle battery passport there. And physics is using fabric in kind of botanical water technologies. Question, let me show. So this enables greater transparency and traceability of the fraud and counterfeiting. So traceability kind of use cases is another good use case of fabric. The trade finance, so GSBN is a global. GSBN is one global shipping business network, which is also use fabric out there. There's entity data is having a product called Trade Vaults. They are using fabric. And this CBDC project, so I was just give an example like Hyperledger. I mean, like in India, Reserve Bank of India uses Hyperledger Fabric. So not just in India, but there are across the across the countries, people are building on Hyperledger technology. So you see, like China is building on Fabric. Project Uber, I think, is maybe in Indonesia or whatever. Brazil, France. Uh, European CBDC, Reserve Bank of Australia, is people are building on Besu or Fabric, depending on their choice of technology. So this Indie and Bureau provide the identity, EVM, and interoperability. Uh, and this identity ecosystem. So there are many use cases in the identity, like so Digiyatra I mentioned, like British Columbia is already using Hyperledger for digital identities in British Columbia, Ontario. So, but like Hyperledger is always believe like there is no only one technology can solve all the problems. We always need the combination of permission and permissionless blockchain, private or public blockchain combination, which and and depending on the use cases, you can select which is the right blockchain technology. So there are completely permissionless blockchain like Bitcoin and Ethereum, where there's nobody control, anybody can join the network. But there are some kind of permissionless private, where the governance is private, but anybody can write data as a blockchain, like getting a public polls or votings. Uh, like permission to public, where the uh, issuing degrees or land record is a permission, but is available to the audience use it. And then the permission private, whether you want to have a completely controlled environment of your own ecosystem. So this is a size of spectrum blockchains out there. And Hyperledger is also having a Ethereum Foundation as a member. So and that's why this Hyperledger Besu is being contributed to Hyperledger Foundation. So Consensus is a company who manages the Ethereum blockchain and on the Ethereum blockchain ecosystem. So they initially part of the Consensus Hyperledger, and then later they again joined back and contributed the Besu code. So Besu and Ethereum Enterprise Alliance is founded, and Ethereum Enterprise Alliance is a member of Hyperledger since 2018. So it's technically uh, Ethereum and Hyperledger is working together, kind of thing, in an enterprise way perspective. And now, other than Fabric, the Besu is another quite good project, which is Java-based Java-based client application, which covers uh, the like 10% of the Ethereum mainnet nodes are running on Besu, and where you need the public and private combination together, then you can use the Besu as a blockchain, because it has a private permission configuration as well. And as well, if you want to write to the public blockchain with your own private network, that is simply available, because it's a completely EVM based, Ethereum virtual machine based ecosystem. And it has a number of different kind of algorithms like proof of work, proof of authority, IBFT thing. Basically implement the Ethereum enterprise specification. Uh, so basically is a project which is used in almost use cases in banking and the token based applications. So there is a ERC20 and ERC721. There are two token extenders quite active in Ethereum ecosystem, but there are many is being added. But really, fungible and non-fungible, this two token is very important, and best to implement those. So suppose if you need this token thing in token use cases in your private permission environment, then you can use this base project. And then the characters where we need the interoperability between the Fabric or R3 or whether between Ethereum and Indy. So this is used for the interoperability thing. So that cacti which is contributed by IBM, Fujitsu, and Accenture, where it is defined the kind of integration between the different blockchains out there. And there are number of tools, but still like if you lot, but I still like need to understand like blockchain is not crypto, and that's why this Hyperledger ecosystem is trying to be that thing, and that's why during the this regulation concerns on slow down enterprise blockchain projects. Uh, this is not a point, and this is some companies which is provide the Hyperledger certified service provider. So all those companies which operate help companies to build the Hyperledger based applications. And if you want to see more case studies, there are number of case studies available on Hyperledger foundations. There's Fujitsu, there's the GSBN, there's the Hitachi, Tech Mahindra, Dubai Silk Project, Digi Cert, Italy Post of Italy, Kiva, DLT Labs, Walmart. The number of things is being available the case study. And there are tracker there's a tracker of use cases in Hyperledger use case tracker thing. So all those things. So now this is about the Hyperledger actually all about, but now and which is very theoretical and other aspect. And there are couple of projects and couple of theory like why Hyperledger and what the Hyperledger offers. But to become a developer or to become at least expert in any of the technologies, so this Hyperledger Fabric, which is uh, quite often used across the industries and government projects. So now we will going to deep dive to that Hyperledger Fabric. But before that, anybody question maybe you can ask in the chat. So I will take this one. Yeah, Monica, madam. You can ask, or maybe you can ask in the chat, whatever your preference. Or is by mistake, I don't know. Okay, so I will continue. So I will just recap, then I will go back to that particular thing. So this is the Hyperledger project. Hyperledger is not only one blockchain. It is a number of different projects. There are some blockchains, there are some tools, there are some libraries uh, thing in Hyperledger ecosystem. And out of this couple of projects, there are Besu, Fabric, Indy, Iroha, Sawtooth is a proper blockchains, which is a DLT we can say. And then a couple of tools like Bevel, like Cacti, like Caliper, like Celo, is some kind of tools which enhance the development and deployment of this blockchain. And there are some libraries as well, like Aries, like Anoncreds, like Solang, which is Solidity language. So divided in three parts. there are DLTs like blockchains like Fabric, Indy, and Iroha, Resu, and the tools like Bevel, Cacti, Caliper, Celo, Firefly, and then libraries like Aries, Anoncred, and Soleng. And there are many such. So divided in three different sections. DLTs like blockchain and tools and libraries. So this thing, and out of this, like this Hyper fabric, which is most properly uh, uh, used across the industry. So we will go to some deep dive on that particular thing. What is Hyperledger fabric? So Hyperledger fabric is a project contributed by IBM in 2000, actually 15, and that was project was to kind of it was to cover the enterprise related or private permission use case kind of thing, which is government or which is generally enterprises which who hesitate to use the public chain due to many reasons. One maybe the performance, another maybe data security, maybe another the governance, or regulatory, or maybe crypto is the thing there, and that's why. So this IBM has contributed this fabric as a project, and it was designed to use for the enterprise perspective, where the enterprise as well as businesses can use the fabric. And to use in the enterprise, there are a couple of architecture and pluggability is defined there. So is a modular architecture. That means like every component in fabric is modular, which is plug and play with any kind of systems, any kind of use cases. And fabric is very resilient because it is used across different government and enterprises. So it's already tested and proven, and it provides a flexibility to the blockchain solutions because uh, the how you want to control identity, how you want to use the component, how you want to use even database for blockchain storage, how you want to deploy. All this is a completely flexible as per your requirement, as per your infrastructure. You can deploy this fabric blockchain. It is a private and permission blockchain network. So that means like it it is it is it is kind of managed by or run by the um, some companies or not companies. We can say like who want to run the fabric network can run it and manage themselves. So it's not like public chain, and because it's a permission network, so we need a some kind of identity layer or identity provider. So there's a concept in fabric called MSP, a membership service provider, which provide access to fabric network. So every component which is part of the fabric network must have a any of the MSP ID or membership service provider identification details. And in fabric you can create a multiple channels actually. So channel is like channel is a concept in fabric where when you want to create a multiple ledgers in the same network. Multiple channels means like separate ledger at all together. Let's say we have a uh, 10 bank, and there is some use cases where we don't want to share the data to every bank. Maybe selected banks come together, created their separate ledger channel between them, and there is one common channel between all 10 banks. There is maybe two, three banks create their separate channel, or maybe each channel could be the even separate logical separation of the data. Even so, let's say if you want to have a supply chain channel separately or the payment channel separately, that is other thing can be done. So simply dividing the fabric network in a multiple ledgers, multiple separate chains done using channel. So a modular architecture is a private in permission. It's a membership service provider for identification of the component and user in the fabric network system, and it has channel as a concept for creating some kind of separate ledgers within ecosystem within a fabric network. Uh, uh, it is open source. It is permission network. There is a governance and access control. There is a pluggable architecture. So now, what is the pluggable architecture that means here? So when you uh, selecting fabric, and if you want to select particular feature, let's say you want to just use only kind of say, let's say CouchDB for storing in database. Uh, you can use CouchDB, or whether you want level DB, which is maybe faster and maybe uh, then you can use the level DB. It is also have an option to select the different languages, whether you want to build on Java or build on Node.js, whether build in Go. You have a choice of selections out there, and it also has some kind of uh, deployment pluggability, or even pluggability of the consensus model, pluggability of the MSP thing, whether you need a standard fabric MSP or whether you want to bring your own MSP material. So everything is plug and play thing. So compared to how the transaction flow work in Fabric and compared to other blockchains, so uh, in transaction flow in Ethereum and Bitcoin is typically followed validate, order, and execute model, where the first transaction is being validated and then it is ordered and then execution is done. That means it follows some sequence. Before execution, the ordering should be there, or before uh, ordering, it should be validated. But in a Fabric, is a work reversely. It executes the transaction first, and then order the transaction. And at the end, it will validate whether the stake or execution is done. So it's a different model, and why this is a different structure Fabric is selected, because mm, when you need scale, or when you need uh, performance of the Fabric network, you should divide the responsibilities of nodes in a such a way, like one node is doing at a time one thing, and it is free. So generally, like say, if you have one container service in one container and you just running, let's say it is a also doing ordering, is also doing execution, is also doing committing. So in that case, it will create a problem. It will create a bottleneck actually. So when the sequential flow is followed, whether the validation done, then order and done, then you can't do the parallel processing thing. So using the transaction flow, now you can Fabric, you can do the parallel processing. So let's say execution can keep running separately, order keep running separately. There could be validation commit phase where you have separate your service running for committing all the delays. So typically it is uh, kind of provide the flexibility and the scalability of the Fabric system when the Fabric is being used. So now how the Hyperledger thing works actually. So before understanding like how the Hyperledger Fabric works, we just need to understand some kind of basic building blocks. I mean, like some vocabulary about the Fabric thing. Just give me 2 minutes. पूछ के आ रहा हूँ दे दो पर पूछ के so I just I just back so to understand the Fabric thing, there are some terminologies which we need to understand like one is like because Fabric is private permission network. So we are calling the entities or stakeholder in a Fabric is organization or members. So let's say just simple basic definition, like say if we have Citibank, HSBC, Yes Bank. So these are as organization members of Fabric network. But technically this is just not node. It is some logical separation of the stakeholders called members or organization. So let's say if you have a network of three organizations, that means Citibank, HSBC, and Yes Bank is a network participant. Just like. But now organization is just the name or maybe just identification of the component in the Fabric. But when you actually want to have a node, so that's called as a peer. So node definition in Fabric is peer. That means like every such organization, let's say maybe let's say Fabric, let's say this Yes Bank want to run two node. So there we say like Yes Bank have two peers. Let's say HSBC have want to three peer. So HSBC have three peer. So like this. So peer is a actual unit or component which is representing this entities in the Fabric network. So the first is organization member, second is peer concept, and peer is representing the organization in the network. Now third thing is like because uh, Fabric is a private permission blockchain, so you need the some uh, kind of what to say, some kind of identity to this peer, not just identity to the users of the Fabric network, but identity of HSBC Bank, identity of Citibank, identity of the Yes Bank. So this particular identity is required to represent every component. So not just the stakeholder, but every component which is part of the Fabric network need to have some identity, and that identity is represented via the MSP, membership service provider. So, we will see all this thing is okay. So first is member and organization, which calling is members and organizers, and then the second is peers, which is representing this organization in the network. And every component or whether it's not just peers, orderers need to have some cryptographic identity. That means we representing or we identifying those components using some kind of cryptographic keys, right? Uh, and how the transaction works. So peers in organization receive a transaction invocation from the client inside the organization. So any of the client or any of the client which is connected to this peer or client connected to organization will send transaction, and peers will receive the transaction. Kind of thing. Ah. So peers receive transaction from the client, and peers actually execute transaction. Now what and we also know, right? Every blockchain has some smart contract. So in Hyperledger, smart contract called as a chain code, and that smart contract need to be installed on every peer. So chain code is installed on every peer out there. So let's say if you let's say if you have a three banks as a network as a member organization, and then if you having a let's say two peer each, so there will be chain code need to install on all six peers, and chain code is equivalent to the smart contract. Now where this data is stored, right? So in a normal thing, in a normal Ethereum and public blockchain, data is stored in a node in terms of any ledger or any file. But in Fabric, every peer which is part of the network, part of the organization, is store the ledger, and that ledger is not one chain, one blockchain. In Fabric, we can have a channel concept. We see the channel. No, we didn't see channel. Yeah, see the channel. There is separate chains ledger using Fabric network using channel. So there could be multiple channels out there, and every channel have a separate ledger. So how things work? First is a organization members thing. Then every member organization in the network is responsible to set up their peers part of the network, and then every node peer or component is having some cryptographic materials. We will see like what is cryptographic material, and even I will run one demo to get the idea how it looks like. And then uh, every peer receiving transaction from the client application and processing it. Chain code is equivalent to the smart contract and is installed on every peer in the network. And every peer maintain the one ledger per channel. So if you have a 10 channel, there are 10 ledger will be available on Fabric thing. This thing. There are other kind of features. One is privacy in a Fabric network, and that privacy is how. So we just discussed like every first of all is not a public chain, is a completely private permission. So and which is identified by an MSP. MSP is a membership service provider. We will see like what is MSP. I will show you when I run the Fabric network. Other thing is channel. So channel is like we discussed like simply like is if you want to create a separate ledger or separate transactions for which is not visible to the entire network. So simple example, let's say if you have Citibank, Yes Bank, and HSBC Bank, and we want some transaction which is only available between Yes Bank and Citibank, HSBC Bank should know. Then should not know. Then we can create a separate channel between Citibank and Yes Bank. So that is the purpose of the channel where you want to bring the kind of privacy between the data. Now we just understand this flow. Using this transaction flow, you can do the parallel processing, and that will scale the network or scale the application of the Fabric blockchain. Modularity, it is simple like uh, in Fabric, every component is a modular. So means like if you want to use uh, label DB, cows DB, or Java, JavaScript, Node.js, you have choice. It is not like bound to one specific language or specific thing. Like this. So this is a Fabric internal architecture. There is one membership service, there is one blockchain services, there is one chain code services, and there are some kind of membership, blockchain, transaction, and chain code. So this is some, and there's some APIs, SDK, CLI. So let me go through one by one so you get a better idea of what it's all about. So membership so is a MSP thing. So when you want to define the identity of the any net component or user in Fabric network, that membership model do. Blockchain and transaction where the consensus, distributed ledger, ledger storage, where you're storing ledger and how you're storing it, right? And how you're distributing it. And then P2P protocol. So every blockchain you have some kind of point-to-point protocol communication. So generally gRPC is a very standard used everywhere. And then chain code service, which is manage your smart contract in a secure container and register the chain code. And on top of it, there are set of APIs, SDKs, and command line interface. So this is the internal component, but if you want to interact with blockchain, want to write transaction, want to read data, then you are using whether APIs, whether SDK, whether CLI to connect the network and talk to the different component. So we'll go through the definition one by one. So peer is one component in Fabric, which hold the ledger and which holds the ledger in the word state. So there are two types of ledger in Fabric, or we can say there are two types of data stored in blockchain. One is stored the history of the all the transaction, like is connect some kind of blockchain data. Another is stored the real time value of one data, some kind of word state, where it is showing like what is the current value of something. So simply assume like, sir, let's say we have two accounts, account A and account B, and what is the current value in these two accounts will be shown in a word state, but how this values occurred, how this values have changed will be available in a history database. Organization we just talk is some kind of logical or entity representation in Fabric network, and this every organization is running a peer. And so simply the transaction endpoint of organization is peer. So we understood that a peer is one node, right? Now this is one different thing in Fabric. So there is one ordering node as well. Maybe we can say the call a validator node or whatever. So it is so in Ethereum or other public chain, this blockchain node will do the peer this peer work and ordering node. But in Fabric they decided separate node. So that means there is a separate node for storing data or kind of sending transaction or validating transaction, and there is a separate node for which is create blocks. And in other blockchain is a mix actually. In Ethereum there is no separation between all these things. There's all the ledger is same. All the node is same. There is a concept like light node or other thing, but technically there is no separation of the block formation thing and storage part. So, and what is the basic difference between the peer and order? Peer which hold the ledger and have the smart contract installed, but in ordering node there is a no storage and no uh, smart contract. It is simply connect one is simply kind of take a transaction, create a block. That's it. MSP is another thing. Another is we just talking some words actually. So MSP is a membership service provider, which is give credential to clients, peers to participate in Fabric network. But MSP is a concept. How it is being implemented? So this is being implemented any of the certificate authority. Now, what is certificate authority? Uh, the entity or the component which issue certificate to the component. So by default, the Fabric CA is there. So by default, the Fabric CA is one component is there. But as per the industry, you can use your own. So technically, whatever the certificate, digital signature issued, which is issued by any of the certificate authorities, even your TLS certificate, your domain certificate is some kind of certificates only. Similar kind of certificate every component need. And then smart contract. So smart contract is a called chain code. So where you writing your business logic. So in a smart contract, you are writing your smart contract, writing with your business logic, and currently you have multiple options to write your chain code. So you have Go language, you have JavaScript, you have Node.js, you have Java. So any of the language you can write your chain code. So this is some more other definitions. So till that we discuss about the components and other thing. But because when you talk about the blockchain, we talk about the some asset, right? What you writing in in blockchain, right? It may be information about any asset or information about anything, right? Whether it's a tangible or intangible, that thing. So the data you writing on a blockchain called some asset information. Let's say there's a car is asset, right? Or let's say your bank balance, your account number, your identity is some kind of assets. So everything you representing in blockchain called as asset, and that is that is managed or change using transaction. Let's say, for example, when you're sending money from one account to another account, it's called transaction. So everything in blockchain it is being updated using transaction. So simply like whether you transferring asset, whether you updating asset, whether you are creating asset, what is a transaction? And there is a ledger is maintained by each peer. So ledger is a word like which is maintained by each peer and includes the history database and word history, the two database. I just give an example. One like where you're having a history of the transaction, other is having just the current value of the uh, variables. Simple word state like which is hold the current values of a ledger states. Channel channel is like I just even already brief like is one of the ledger separation or logical separation between the different ledgers. So you could create a multiple blockchain using a channel concept thing. Endorsement policy I will talk later. The first the SDK. So SDK is some kind of you maybe if you know the Ethereum, when you connecting your Ethereum network using the web3.js thing. Similar thing is the SDK here, and this SDK is a multiple option. So let's say in Ethereum it's only let's say web3.js. Here it has Java SDK, Go SDK, Node SDK, all this. So simply like whenever you want to whether uh, read data or write data or integrate with your front end or mobile application, you need a SDK to connect with that ledger. Now, what is endorsement policy? So generally, if you aware about the Ethereum consensus, right? Consensus management. So where when the transaction is happen, every node need to approve transaction and then it is validated and committed. So in Fabric, they divided this consensus in multiple parts, and one part is endorsement policy. That means when any new transaction is being initiated by any of the clients, it must be approved and validated by a set of endorsers. Set of endorsers means who are responsible for approving a transaction. And this endorser is a peer node only. So let's say here, example, three banks, we talk example, right? So this every bank will be running their endorser node. When transaction coming, this endorser node will take the transaction and approve transaction or sign it using its private key kind of thing. And this policy actually, how many such approvals required which approval required, that thing is mentioned in this endorsement policy thing. So we will see that thing. So now this is more detail how the transaction flow, and after that we will have a demo how. Hmm. So there are two three in the previous slides we have understood there are couple of component, couple of some definition like channel, MSP, node, orderer, endorsement, SDK. This is some maybe you can deep dive later this thing. But now how this uh, transaction in detail will work. So in Fabric, the endorsement happen first. Endorsement means what? Approval. So let's say if I'm sending a transaction, transfer 100 rupees from account A to account B, this is a transaction. But this transaction must be approved and validated by a set of blockchain node, which is part of the network. That thing called endorser, that called endorsement, or here calling endorse. Then when this endorsement done, and when the endorsement is achieved as per the endorsement policy, means let's say my endorsement policy says like it need to be approved by 3 out of 5 node. Then when this 3 approval is received, it will send to the ordering service. Now, ordering service is the service which take the transaction, club it, create a block. This orderer does. After orderer is created a block, it will send to the all the peers, endorser and committing peer like which hold the ledger but not approve the transaction. Kind of thing. So endorsement, ordering, and commitment. This three is a basic transaction flow steps. Now, how it works? So let's say, given this example, which we just understood all the basic terminologies. So let's say this is one application, client application connected to SDK. So I just give an example like SDK is a thing which connect to the Fabric network, right? So SDK is connected to Fabric network. You can see this rectangular circle is a Fabric network. And in Fabric network, the number of component is running, right? So, uh, so let's say this E0, E1, E2, this black, brown actually is a endorser node. P3, P4 is a committing peer. You can see in the key, I just given a detail here. Ledger is the three uh, connected rectangle is a ledger one by one. And this uh, orange one is a yellow one, I think maybe, is a smart contract. And endorsement policy P, which is defined while deploying a smart contract. You can see there are multiple smart contracts. So in Fabric network, you could run multiple smart contract and multiple channel as well. And this ordering service in a rectangular within a rectangular. There are 4 green node is running, which is ordering service. So here technically, if you see, there are 5 peer node running. Out of 5, 3 is endorser node, 2 is committing node, and 4 green node is a ordering node. And there are A, B, D, 3 smart contracts are running, and there is a one smart contract policy for one smart contract, and then there is a one client application is connected using SDK. So when the transaction is executed, it will send to all the endorsing peer. You can see in the step 1. Now in step 2, this execution is happen. So whatever the transaction proposal is received, it will process the transactions like E0, even it will execute the this transaction, whether let's say is whether is creating asset, whether is transferring asset, whatever the transaction. When this execution is happen, it will also sign the this transaction payload. So the read write set is being created, and it will send out to the proposal as a proposal response back to the client application. So client application will receive this response back, and they will verify. They will okay. So this so E0 even E2 the thing, and this proposal response back to client application, and client application is verifying whether the endorsement policy reach or not. So where it is verifying whether okay, like this E0 even need to executed transaction and signed and given back the response. So in response, they verify whether the endorsement policy reach or not, like that, and then it will send the transaction to the ordering service here, the orderer transaction. So in orderer is receiving a transaction from multiple application or multiple SDKs and clubbing as a block, creating a block. So when this block is being created, block is distributed to all the peers, whether it's distribute, whether they will fetch from the ordering component or ordering service. And now they do some kind of validation whether endorsement is still there, or the maybe during the transaction time it should not change in any of the transaction. So this is delivered to the all the peers. Now all the peer will executing the uh, that transaction, and you see now the new block is added. So here this ordering service creating a block and sending blocks to all the peers, or whether sending, whether someone is picking from there. And when it will process, it will create a new block, and it will add the block in in existing blockchain, and whatever the variables or transaction is available there, it will execute one by one and update the ledgers, update both ledger. One is the history ledger, which is maintaining as a here only, and another is update the read write or real, what we call word state of the of those thing, of those variables. And you see, like when the transaction is committed, it will notify to the client application like your transaction is done. So this is the steps, and a simple flow is looks like that way. There's a client application, there's endorsing, there is a uh, there is a client application, there is endorsing, there is endorsing peer, there's a all those things. This is a typical flow. So now let's say start like how you can run. So I will try to show you demo like how the Fabric network setup works and smart contract. And if you want to try yourself, you can try from here. I'm sending links here, which you want to. So now I will show you the one demo thing. Okay. So there's no PPT required thing. Leave it. So now this is I think existing Fabric network running. So first let me delete the network. Okay. So I will just brief what is all this thing. Okay. So when, let's say, when you want to try and install Fabric network and basic application, so what you need first, you need some prerequisite software. So depending on your operating system, whatever detail you, let's say if your Mac, what you need, how you can install, everything is given here. Docker, I just was using Docker. Docker is a one containerized tool. That means like where you could run your different net component like PR, orderer, CA, application, smart container, container. So this container Docker is very important for any of the blockchain application if you're building it. And the programming language or all this thing, what is mentioned here, you need to install it. When this is installed, you need some basic installation of Fabric as well. So above was just the storing, installing a simply uh, installing a softwares, let's say Docker, Java, other languages, and then you need to install the Fabric component. And how you can install it? So you simply there's some steps like whether you can create one folder where you want to install it, and then create and then use this command, and this command will give you one file install.fabric.sh, and this file will contain all the related component and every software which is required to run Fabric network. So let's say it will be having a binary for peer, CA, orderer, other thing. It is also having a Docker images to run a Docker container. So that's it. So when this is done, so for example, if I want to see in my computer, so let me open this folder. So when I run this command, it will give me these files. And this file contain all the details or all the component. So for example, you see if you want, it is installing, just let me show you. It is fetching some simple code as well from here, for example. Then it is getting binary files from there, downloading, right? It is getting the binaries from here available, and then getting a Docker images from here, pulling images. So everything will be given and is available. When you will do this thing, you will be having this Fabric folder, and in this Fabric folder you will having a bin. So this bin are the binaries. So the binary for peer, binary for orderer, binary for discovery, Fabric says all those things. And it also get a sample code base. So there's a sample codes available here. So there is a simple application community is created which you can use and build on top of it. So there's a code for ERC20. So all the things available. So when this is done, now let's say you want to run a network. So uh, just let's say running a test network. Na? So it's very simple. If you go there, running a test network, when you simply see all the basic commands is available here. Or simple, if you run this particular thing, it will give the it's given all the option how you want to run it. So let's say if I want to run let's say if I want to run this one. So it will set up my network. Uh, so see, it is creating a network. Fail to generate configuration transaction. It could be because something is, what is the error? Or has invalid keys. So this is different. So let me do basic setup. Oh, this is installed, right? And here you see there's one peer is running, there's two peer is running, one orderer is running, right? So this is the thing. Now let me create a network. I'm creating a channel. We just discussed, right? Channel is creating a ledger on the thing. It's saying channel name already exists. So you see now the fabric network is created with name is channel channel name is my channel, and these are different component running. So there is one this is a fabric peer, right? We are running, and that is org1, organization 1. This is organization 2, and then there are one ordering services running here, which create the block and cut the block, right? And there is a databases, because we see, right, every peer has their own database. There are two database you can see here. This is one. This is maybe something here. Okay, this is one. This is two. And then there's a fabrics here, right? So every organization needs some identity. So there's three fabrics here running. One for orderer, and org two. Now, if you want to run a deploy smart contract, let me deploy this smart contract. So is it deploying chain code? You see, like there's chain code version, chain code language, from where is picking chain code, all is. Okay, so now this is now suppose if you see the log, there are two chain code containers also running. This one, see. So this is a we have I think peer 0 org 1, peer 0 org 2, and peer 0 org 1, peer 0. So this particular two chain code are running. Now I just let me show you how this block. Uh, and then we can wrap up and we have questions. Docker logs. Yes. So let me order dot example. This is the order component which create the block. So here you see write block happening, proposal is happening, and you see if there any new block is, so it is creating a block. Now if you see the peer, this is a peer thing. Maybe it's technical, but it's good to. So here see there are some block. This is my channel, right? Block in private commit, transaction with ID, received block number 5, channel, my channel. So everything there, right? So this is how the fabric thing works. Now let me just stop it. And any question or so any question? Let's take that one. Yeah. So any question? I have shared my email ID. Email ID or my LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me, you can connect. This is my LinkedIn. So all the faculties are from one college or is it from different colleges? So maybe we could any questions?
Yes, participants, any questions?
Okay. So any question? Like, because I
Okay,
given
sir.
a demo, I given a particular aspect, and you need PPT. I will share PPT as well, so you can have a look later as well.
Okay, sir. So I think the session is over by your side.
Yeah, session is over. If any question, because I kept only 15-20 minutes for the question answer.
Okay, sir.
So
Okay. So thank you so much, Kamlesh, sir, for sharing your valuable insights on Hyperledger technology, such as you have started with history of Hyperledger and Ethereum, the benefits of Hyperledger Fabric, then how the fabric works, its key features, privacy channels, scalability, modularity, its architecture and elements. And finally, you have explained the fabric transaction flow also. So thank you so much for your contribution, sir. Now, everyone, I would like to have your attention, please. Bharat Ratna Ratan Tata ji, whose departure has made everyone heartbroken today. His thought process has touched everyone in some or the other way. Epitome of humanity, humbleness, wisdom, clarity, a visionary industrialist and pride of India. A true legend whose visionary leadership transformed India's corporate landscape. We, the DMC family, are deeply saddened and pay our heartfelt condolences to the Tata family during these difficult times. I would like to request everyone present here to join me in observing 2 minutes of silence to honor his legacy and profound contributions. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. The attendance link will be shortly given in the GM. The attendance link is given in the messages. Please go through it.
Okay, sir. We'll check. Now, please check. Can everyone acknowledge?